to now, the two books of Chronicles may not have been very high on your must-read list. Maybe the only words in 2 Chronicles that have a familiar ring for you are those lines in chapter 7, verse 14. If my people who are called by my name humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and heal their land. But Cheryl Anderson shows us that this theme of national faithfulness is very important to the chronicler, who holds all of us, kings, commoners, princes, people, accountable to Yahweh. We'll see that such faithfulness can only endure if there are those like the priests and the Levites of the Jerusalem temple who are committed to offer a continuity of holy ritual, prayer, and praise. At the center of the nation's life must be faithful worship of the one true God.
Many have wondered why the chronicler, in the 5th or 4th century BCE, wrote this version of ancient Israel's history. After all, the same material had been presented already in 1st and 2nd Samuel and 1st and 2nd Kings. Did he want to guarantee the permanency of the Davidic dynasty in that post-exilic period? Was he trying to increase the power of the priests or of the Levites, the personnel of the temple? Upon closer examination, we see that the chronicler's purpose was not political, but theological. Addressing the people of God in Jerusalem after the exile, the chronicler seeks to enliven their faithfulness to God. He hopes to do this by reaffirming their observances of traditional religious practices. Through a historical review, the chronicler reminds the people that God has been with them, and if they are faithful, God will continue to be with them. To the chronicler, those who can rightfully call themselves the people of God are those dedicated to the temple in Jerusalem. The chronicler's purpose is revealed through the differences between his recitation of history and the version of history found in the books of Samuel and Kings. Most significantly, the chronicler covers only the history of Judah, the southern kingdom after the division of the United Monarchy. But the history of both the northern and southern kingdoms is found in 1st and 2nd Kings. To the chronicler, those in the northern kingdom cut themselves off from Jerusalem and the true worship of God by creating regional worship centers and not worshiping in Jerusalem. By describing only the events involving Jerusalem and temple worship, the chronicler underscores the significance of both for those in Jerusalem in his own time. The chronicler does note, however, that some northerners remained faithful to God. He mentions that some priests and Levites stayed faithful to the Lord and came to Jerusalem instead of remaining in the northern kingdom, a fact not mentioned in 1st Kings. Who were these priests and Levites? They were two different types of temple officials who were responsible for upholding the religious traditions. Their respective duties were set forth by David, and his son Solomon appointed the divisions of the priests and Levites as his father had commanded. In 1st Kings, the temple was Solomon's undertaking. The chronicler, on the other hand, associated both David and Solomon with the construction of the temple and the establishment of the temple leadership. In this way, these officials embodied a tradition that began with David and Solomon, the illustrious kings of the United Monarchy. The priests were the descendants of Aaron, whose main duty was to officiate at the sacrificial rituals. The Levites were charged with assisting the priests by maintaining the temple grounds, managing the foods and utensils used in religious observances, and providing liturgical guidance in prayer and song. Usually, the difference between the priests and the Levites has been thought of in terms of rank or status. The Levites are seen as subordinate to the priests, but the chronicler emphasizes their complementary roles and their comparable importance with respect to the maintenance of the faith. In the chronicler's review of history, both Levites and priests taught the Lord's law and both served as judges who determined the outcome of disputes among the people. Affirming the mutuality of priests and Levites, the chronicler even uses the term Levitical priests at one point, thereby indicating that Levites could become priests. According to the chronicler, the priests and Levites were responsible for keeping the people of God on the path of righteousness throughout their history. The chronicler refers to the 10th century prophet, Azariah, who spoke of a time when Israel was without the true God and without a teaching priest and without law. In other words, according to the chronicler, those who teach the law, the priests and the Levites, serve to uphold the covenantal relationship between God and the people. The chronicler shows that throughout their history, the priests and Levites not only taught, they also actively intervened when the people's adherence to their covenantal relationship with God was threatened. In the 9th century, Athaliah, queen of Judah, and originally from the northern kingdom, caused the people to follow other gods and was almost successful in assassinating all of the Davidic royal family. The chronicler tells us that the wife of a priest foiled her plans by saving the young Davidic heir. Furthermore, we're told that the priests and Levites plotted against Athaliah, crowned the rightful heir as king, and resumed proper worship in the temple. Thanks to the priests and the Levites, the Davidic tradition was maintained, and faithfulness to God was restored. Remember that the chronicler's main purpose was to enliven the faith of the people in their God. That is why he pays special attention to the worship-related activities of two kings, Hezekiah and Josiah, from the 8th and the 7th centuries respectively. Both of them were faithful to God, destroyed the symbols of idolatrous worship from their territories, and celebrated Passover in the temple for all the people of God. While 2 Kings emphasizes the military exploits of both these kings, 2 Chronicles insists that it is their faithfulness in the worship of God that makes them great kings. The theological perspective of the chronicler is best summarized in 2 Chronicles 15:2. The Lord is with you while you are with him. If you seek him, he will be found by you. But if you abandon him, he will abandon you. Because he believed this so strongly, the chronicler had difficulty with the long reign of Manasseh in the 7th century. Manasseh was considered to be evil because he abandoned God and worshiped Baal. Since Manasseh abandoned God, why did God not abandon him? How could Manasseh have ruled for over 50 years? 2 Kings 21 gives no explanation for Manasseh's longevity, but 2 Chronicles 33 says that Manasseh was taken into captivity by an enemy nation, during which time he cried out to the Lord and was restored by the Lord to his throne in Jerusalem. The chronicler writes that after that, Manasseh knew that the Lord indeed was God. Above all else, the chronicler emphasizes the importance of working together to maintain a relationship with God. In the chronicler's report, David and Solomon together make the vision of a temple in Jerusalem a reality. They also work together to establish the priests and the Levites, who will in turn work together to maintain authentic worship practices. In 1 Kings, we learn that the people of God divided themselves between the northerners and the southerners. But in Chronicles, we're told that some northerners remained true to God and at various times were among the faithful in Jerusalem. In the context of the post-exilic community, the chronicler is saying, "We have come from the north and the south, from the exile and from the land, but together we are the people of God. We must be faithful, because if we are with God, God will be with us. Here in Jerusalem we have the priests and the Levites. to help us be with God now as they have helped us throughout our history. We can therefore face the future with confidence.